In an age ruled by zealots and dreamers, one man's wisdom kept the realm from falling apart. Viserys Targaryen, younger brother to Aegon III, had spent his life in service rather than glory. While others burned with passion, he governed with reason, a scholar among swordsmen, a man of ink and patience. For more than 20 years, he had guided kings from behind the throne, first his grieving brother, then his reckless nephew, and finally his saintly ward. By the time the crown passed to him, he had already been the true power of Westeros for half a lifetime. He was no warrior, no dragon lord, and no conqueror. He was a builder of laws, systems, and quiet strength. The maesters later called him the Scholar King, but those who had known him simply called him the Wise. Under his hand, Westeros found stability after decades of chaos. Yet in his meticulous order lay the seeds of the storm to come, for Viserys' reign would prepare the stage for one of the most corrupt monarchs in Targaryen history. Long before he ruled, Viserys had endured captivity. During the closing years of the Dance of the Dragons, he had been taken prisoner by the Triarchy and sold to Lys. For years he lived as a hostage, used by merchant princes to barter for peace with Westeros. In that foreign city of silk and smoke, he learned the ways of commerce, diplomacy, and deceit. It was said he mastered the tongues of Lys, Pentos, and Myr, and could charm gold from even the hardest men of trade. When peace finally came, the Lyseni released him, a gesture of goodwill that owed more to profit than mercy. He returned to Westeros thinner, wiser, and changed. Gone was the young prince who had dreamed of dragons. In his place stood a man who understood that power lay not only in armies, but in the flow of gold, law, and knowledge. He came home to a broken court and a realm still bleeding from war, and he quietly set about repairing it. During the reign of Aegon III, he served first as Master of Coin, then as Hand of the King. When the boy king grew into a man, Viserys became his most trusted advisor. Even when Aegon ruled in silence, it was Viserys who spoke for him. Later, under Daeron I, he managed the kingdom while the young dragon waged his ill-fated war in Dorne. And during the pious reign of Baelor I, it was Viserys who governed the realm while the king fasted and prayed. When Baelor imprisoned him for supposed sins of pride, Viserys endured it without bitterness. He had served mad kings and child kings alike, and he had learned that time was the greatest ally of the patient. When Baelor the Blessed finally starved himself to death, the realm turned to the man it had relied on all along. The lords and septons gathered in council and declared that Viserys, the Hand of Three Kings, should at last wear the crown himself. Viserys II began his reign not with grand ceremony or prophecy, but with quiet work. He dismissed the sycophants and zealots who had thrived under Baelor's sanctity and filled the court with learned men, merchants, and reformers. He reopened the brothels Baelor had closed, restored the theatres and taverns, and replenished the royal treasury that faith had drained. A realm cannot pray its debts away, he told the High Septon, nor feed its children with virtue. Under his rule, the chaos of the past decades gave way to stability. The king was methodical, almost cold in his administration. He ordered new ledgers of land and population, the first census since the conquest, and established tariffs that filled the crown's coffers without burdening the small folk. Trade with the free cities flourished once more. The ships of Old Town and Driftmark returned to the seas, carrying not soldiers, but merchants. To the common people, Viserys seemed distant but fair, a king who neither inspired love nor fear, but quiet respect. To the lords, he was a mirror of their own ambitions. He rewarded competence, punished waste, and ruled through reason rather than decree. The faith grumbled that he favored maesters over septons, but the realm prospered. and even the High Septon found little ground for protest. In time, the people began to speak of him as the Scholar King, a ruler who governed from his desk rather than the battlefield. Yet those who underestimated him learned their mistake swiftly. Viserys had not survived the dance, nor the madness of his kin, by gentleness alone. His mind was sharp as Valyrian steel, and though he seldom raised his voice, his word carried the weight of command. Viserys believed that true strength lay in systems that outlived kings. He founded the royal mint, standardizing the coinage that had long varied across regions. He reformed the small council, separating its offices by clear duty and rank, and established written codes for governance in every royal department. To ensure oversight, he created the office of the King's Justice, ensuring that even lords could be held accountable under royal law. He also restructured the City Watch, giving it chainmail, salaries, and authority beyond the whims of local captains. He strengthened the navy through Lord Alan Valerian, ensuring that piracy in the narrow sea was crushed and Westerosi merchants could travel safely once again. It was said that every decree Viserys made was written twice, once for the archives and once for history. But perhaps his greatest legacy was the founding of the Royal Archives, where copies of every treaty, edict and census were stored beneath the Red Keep. "A king's memory must not die with him," he told the Grand Maester. "A kingdom that forgets its past is a kingdom doomed to repeat it." These reforms, dry as they seemed, would outlast his line. In the centuries that followed, every king of Westeros, wise or foolish, ruled through systems Viserys had created. Even as he strengthened the realm, Viserys never lost sight of its perils. The memory of the dance and the ruin it had brought haunted him. To prevent such bloodshed from returning, he sought balance between faith and crown, noble and common, peace and readiness. He arranged marriages to secure alliances, most notably between his son Aegon and Rhaenys Targaryen, Baelor's beautiful and devout sister. It was a union of politics, not affection, and one that would haunt both their lives, for from it would come the next king, Aegon IV the Unworthy. Viserys was not blind to his son's vices. Even as a youth, Aegon showed cruelty and arrogance, delighting in excess and mockery. "He has the appetites of Maegor," Viserys is said to have sighed, "but none of his purpose." Yet despite his misgivings, the Scholar King continued to groom him for the throne. He believed education could temper nature, that wisdom could tame even the fire of Targaryen blood. He was wrong. Still, during his reign, peace endured. The roads were safe, the coffers full, and the realm prospered as it had not since the days of Jaehaerys, the conciliator. For a brief and shining moment, Westeros knew order, the calm before the storm. After 2 decades of ruling from the shadows, Viserys II Targaryen reigned for little more than a year before death claimed him in his sleep. He left behind no wars, no revolts, and no unfinished debts, only a kingdom restored to health. To the small folk, his passing brought sadness, to the lords, unease. For though the Scholar King had given them order, the heir he left behind promised only chaos. The Maesters would remember him as a man of intellect, the most capable administrator ever to sit the Iron Throne. The Septons would praise his restraint and learning, even as they condemned his lack of faith. But history remembers him for something greater still, for proving that wisdom alone can hold a kingdom together, if only for a time. His death marked the end of an age of peace and the beginning of an age of decadence. For as the flames of wisdom faded, the fire of corruption rose, and from that fire would emerge Aegon IV, known to all as the Unworthy. In the next episode, the Age of Reason gives way to rot, Aegon the Unworthy ascends the Iron Throne, a king of lust, greed and betrayal, whose countless bastards will divide the Targaryen line and plunge Westeros into chaos. From courtly decadence to the birth of the Blackfire Rebellion, witness how one man's corruption sowed a century of blood. The scholar's peace is dead. Now begins the reign of sin.